teens and adults, let's go ahead and welcome you in. Our learning target today is tips for new drivers. This is our learning target for success. I want to make you successful. So you need to be listening to this information. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you into the class. So beginning drivers do a lot of light traffic light driving. What does this mean? This means they're not really driving on the main thoroughfares, on the main roads. Beginning drivers feel more comfortable driving in neighborhoods, making left turns in the neighborhoods, making right turns in the neighborhood. As you become more comfortable, you're going to go from your neighborhood to your high school or community college. As you feel more comfortable, you're going to go from your neighborhood maybe to the mall. As you feel more comfortable, you're going to go from your neighborhood on the expressway, maybe to your friend's house. It does take time. Based on statistical information, the brain matures about age 24 or 25. So if you're 16, 26. If you're 15, 25. If you're 14, 9, 24, 9. During this time, you should be taking your time learning and watching your parents. Watch your parents and continue to learn. Watch my content and continue to learn. Beginning drivers confuse yield and right of way. How do I know? I'm a state certified driving instructor. What is our learning target? Our learning target is for success. This is information for beginning drivers. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you in. Next, beginning drivers they are confused with stop signs. Stop, S-T-O-P. It means stop fully for a minimum of 3 seconds, a maximum up to 5 seconds. Next, yield signs. Yield means slow down. Yield for pedestrians, cars, bicyclists. You have to know what those mean, because if you're going to get a ticket, it's probably going to be a yield sign or stop sign, which is a civil infraction. And you're going to end up paying a lot more money than what you're used to. So you really do not want to get a ticket. Good afternoon. How are you doing? I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach teens and adults. I'm going to go ahead and welcome you in. If you have questions, go ahead and put this in. Next, we want to talk about the big 5 strategies for helping you drive. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. You want to look into your turns. If you're making a right turn, I should see you turning here looking to the right. If you're making a left turn, I should see you turning head and looking to the left. It's really important that you gather information in order to understand the proper maneuver. What is a proper maneuver? Based on your road test, you want to turn in the nearest lane. This facilitates a smoother flow of traffic. If you turn in the wrong lane, this is grounds for failing. Please listen. This is grounds for failing your test. We do not want you to fail your test. We want you to understand what's going on. What is our learning target for success? This is information for new drivers, beginning drivers. I want to welcome you in. Testing is in progress. We're going over information to help you prepare for your road test, knowledge test. I want to welcome you in. Let's go ahead and discuss this information. Next, when you're changing lanes, you have your mirror, turn signal, blind spot. When you're changing lanes, you have your mirror, turn signal, blind spot. You need to look where you're going. You need to analyze information, and I need you to continue to learn. What is analyzing information? Analyzing information is you're in a parking lot. You've got to go slow. Parking lots are some of the most dangerous areas. Why? We have pedestrians walking out there to their car. We have pedestrians between cars. If you're at a public high school, a shopping mall parking lot, a college parking lot, a downtown Metro Detroit, a downtown Metro Houston, Texas, a downtown Metro Los Angeles, California, a downtown Atlanta, Georgia, you have to be aware of what's going on. Thank you for supporting me. Give it a thumbs up, because without you, I wouldn't be successful. And success comes from hard work. So you need to know how to drive in the parking lot. You want to stay in the middle right side. You need to watch out for pedestrians who are running across to go into the mall, go into the shop. You really have to be careful. Happy Thursday to you too. And I want to wish you success. Next, you want to drive at the speed that is safe and reasonable for the conditions. What does this mean? This means you're driving slow, you're taking your time, and you're really learning how to make good steering maneuvers. A good steering maneuver is just that. You're learning how to turn hand over hand into the turn, hand over hand out. There is more than one way to turn the steering wheel. I need you to understand this. There is more than one way. So you, as a beginning driver, need to develop your way to turn the steering wheel. If you've watched your mom and dad, and you should, they probably turn hand over hand. They probably palm the wheel. They might put their hand under the wheel and throw it. You need to develop a method that is safe for you, that you understand, because when you understand, you're going to be way more successful. What is our learning target? We're talking about beginning drivers. We want to focus on success. When you learn from good instruction, good teaching, good parents, you'll learn quicker, faster, sooner, and you will be safer on the road. I want to welcome you in. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you in. Let's continue. This is information for new drivers. You need this. You need to be writing it down. Let's continue. We talked about looking into the turn. If I'm going left, I should see you looking left. If I'm going right, I should see you looking right. That is so important, that you see what's ahead of you. If you're changing lanes, again, the center mirror, the side mirror, you look over your shoulder. You have to look over your shoulder. There are 4 blind spots: the left side, the right side, the front, and the back. You, as a beginning driver, need to know, what am I doing? Where's your car going? If you're making a left turn, what I need you to understand for driver's education and learning how to drive, you want to turn into the nearest lane, L-A-N-E. If you're making a left turn, I should see you turning hand over hand, looking where you're going. If you're making that right turn, I should see you turning hand over hand and looking where you're going. We're in America, freedom, the land of the home of the brave. It's important that you understand a lot of Americans do things differently. There's no one wrong way. We know there's an airbag in the middle of the steering wheel. You need to be mindful of this. We need to have our left hand on the wheel, our right hand on the wheel, and we need to make sure we're turning into the appropriate lane. That is so important. Keep your turn as short as possible. What is our learning target for success? This is information for beginning drivers. If you have questions or comments, put those in. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. Show me that you appreciate this information, because I'm taking the time to go live and help you understand about driving. Let's go through some other information. Have a good following distance. Beginning drivers tend to tailgate other cars. Back off. It's a car length for every 10 miles an hour. If you're going 30, you should have 4 car lengths. If you're going 30, you should have 3 car lengths. If you're going 20, you should have 2 car lengths. Next, beginning drivers don't judge speed very well. What does this mean? You're going to scare your mom. You're going to scare your dad. You will scare your instructor. I need you to go up to the edge of the road and look. Beginning drivers don't judge distance very well. They don't judge speed very well. So as a result, you just gave your mom a heart attack. Sorry, Mom. You just gave your dad a heart attack. Sorry, Dad. You just gave your instructor a heart attack. Sorry, instructor. Take your time. If you're not sure, wait till it's clear. And beginning drivers, go slow as you accelerate through the turn. Do not turn hard and go hand over hand. The car will go hard to the right. And if you swing wide, because I had a client do that, you're going to go in the wrong lane. You could get hit. You will fail your road test. Please be mindful and understand this. If you have questions, you need to be putting those questions in. Next, don't scare the parents. I've just talked about this. I have a driver's ed car. We have a second mirror. We have a second brake. I can control some of the outcomes. Your parents do not. So as a result, you're going to scare mom. You're going to scare dad. Now they're not going to want to take you out. You're not going to have your hours to go into segment 2. You're not going to have your hours to get ready for what? The road test. Please understand this. What is our learning target? It's for success. We're talking about beginning drivers. I am your host. Testing is in session or progress. I want to welcome you in. Let's continue talking about the information we need to be successful. New drivers need a lot of verbal instructions, time ahead to process. When you're learning how to drive, it's just that. You're learning how to drive. I need all of you to understand that you need to learn how to drive with support. If your mom and dad is screaming at you, yelling at you, you're not going to learn how to drive. You're going to be stressed. You're going to have a panic attack, because I've seen it before with my other drivers. And they tell me this. So I want to tell you, take your time. Your coach should be in the passenger seat. They should be telling you what to do. Okay, Johnny, I need you to make a left turn at the street ahead. Okay, Johnny, I need you to go into the roundabout and turn in the left turn signal. Okay, if your mom tells you go straight in the front and your dad tells you to turn left, you're going to be confused. Limit the number of people in your car. CAR. Take your time and be successful. Success comes over time. You will struggle a little bit. You will have some failure a little bit, and that's normal. But we're trying to teach best practice. You need to be listening to this, and you need to be telling me about this. Type in where you're from. Are you from the UK? Are you from the United States? Are you from UAE? Are you from Brazil? Tell me where you're from so I know. Next, don't assume they know what to do. I had a client making a left turn. They turned in the wrong lane, and I had to maneuver the wheel so we did not get hit. When you're driving, if you don't understand something, ask the instructor. Ask your mom and dad to repeat. Mom, what did you say? Dad, what did you say? Mom and dad, stop arguing in the car. It should be you. You are the most important person. I'm not important. Your mom is not important. It's you learning how to drive. You learning how to be safe. If you want to show this to your mom and dad, use me as the excuse. They should be training you. You're going to drive different from your mom. You're going to drive different from your dad. I need you to understand this and be your best authentic self. When I go live, I take the time to tell you real things to see you excel. What is our learning target for success? We're talking about new drivers. I am your host. This is me, Testing in Progress. I want to welcome you in. Let's continue talking about information you need to know to be successful. I'm now going to talk about some elements of the road test. Please listen. If your instructor or tester has to intervene, meaning you're going to hit a curb, that's an automatic failure. I'm just telling you that right now. Don't cry. Don't say I didn't tell you so. I'm telling you the truth. Next, if you disobey regulatory signs, you run a light, you run a stop sign, you run a yield sign, that is possible grounds for them to terminate the test, and now you're upset. I'm going through every element you need to know. KNOW. Next, if you speed 10 or more over the limit, some road testers may not say anything. Other road testers, they may give you one warning, or you may fail your test and they may say, the test is terminated. Please go back to the office. Now you're crying. You're like, oh my God. Your mom and dad are like, you don't listen. You were speeding when we were going in the neighborhood yesterday. If your mom and dad speed, you probably may speed. Why? Because you are exposed to your mom and dad at a young age. And we learn from our family. If your mom and dad kind of speed, overly aggressive, you're going to kind of speed and be overly aggressive, or you may be passive. So we are learning from our environment. Next, dangerous maneuver. What is a dangerous maneuver? You make a left turn, but you go all the way to the right and cut off a car. The road tester has to turn the wheel. You might as well go back home. Another dangerous maneuver, you're making a right turn, but you fail to look left. You pull out in front of a car. Minus 25. Test is terminated. You really need to be listening to this, and you really need to be taking notes, because I'm taking the time to go over this information to make sure you are successful. Let's continue. You strike an object. You're making a right turn, hit the curb. Failure. You make a left turn and cut it short and sideswipe a car. Failure. You are accelerating onto the freeway and you panic and sideswipe a truck. Failure. I'm telling you the truth about failure because it does happen. But when you listen to me, when you follow, when you leave comments, when you subscribe, you're going to get more information because I'm going to speak truth to you. What is our learning target for success? We're talking about driver's education. We're helping you become your best authentic self. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you in. It's really important that you ask questions, you take notes, because you get in what you put out of the class. Next, starting and stopping skills. Pre-driving checks. You come in and put on your seatbelt. You make sure there's no debris around the car. You adjust your seat, then you adjust your mirrors. The center mirror, you want to frame it in the window. I just adjusted my center mirror. My passenger mirror, I just adjusted it. So when I look, I can see to the left. I'm adjusting my right mirror. So now I'm good. I have my left and right mirrors adjusted. I have my center mirror adjusted. I have additional vision to look. You need to really be sitting in the car and listening to me. Many of you are at home, you're listening, you're at the mall, but listen and ask questions. Next, let's continue. Smooth acceleration. If you're slamming the gas, slamming the brake, you're going to get marked down. If you're driving a manual and you put it in first and then you lift up the clutch, the car bucks back and forth, you don't have good clutch control. You're going to lose points. If you're starting from a park position, you take your handbrake, put it down, you put it in drive, you look left and right, you signal your intention. If you don't, it could be a minor, that's -1, or a major could be -5 or -10. Each country has a rating system, and you need to understand what you're being tested on, why you're being tested, and how you improve. If you're getting value, give us a thumbs up. Next, emergency braking. I've done that a few times. It's very hard on the brakes on the car and the tires. We don't want to have flat spots on our tires if we do emergency braking. You've seen other instructors do this. I really don't do that. I have you squeeze the brake. It's called the squeeze brake technique. This will help you control the car. I want to see you under control, not out of control. Real life. Next, smooth steering. We want to have your hands at 7 and 5 based on AAA. They're the national organization in the United States. They said 7 and 5 or 7 and 4 is the best hand position. Why? There's an airbag in the middle of the steering wheel. We do not want to blow our thumbs up. And in the event of a collision, we do not want our face and our hands hitting and breaking our wrist. That happens very rarely, but it does happen. Let's continue. Visual skills. I'm going over the actual road test right now. Visual skills. Number 1, do you identify targets? A kid walking by, a car pulling out, the light is changing. If you don't do that, you're driving blind or dangerous. Next, searches 15 to 20 seconds ahead for the path of travel. There's a car pulling out. There's a kid pulling out. You as a beginning driver need to understand how to identify those targets, how to identify those hazards. It's so important that you identify hazards and targets. What is our learning target for success? We're talking about advice for beginning drivers. Testing is in session. I want to welcome you in. If you have comments, you put them in. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. Next, we're talking about smooth acceleration. If you're hitting the gas pedal really hard and you're going back in the seat you're going to get a minus. What is a minus? In our location, we have up to 25 errors. After 25, automatic failure. Other states and cities, it could be 10, it could be 15. You need to know about this prior to going in and taking your road test. I'm going over the information and the guidelines to help you. So if I'm watching this, will it help me? Of course it will help me, because I'm telling you what to do, what to look for. But experience is the best teacher. Let's continue talking about the road tests now. The next element I want to talk about, turns head and identifies target. If you're just driving straight like this, you're not identifying your target. That's what beginning drivers do. They don't identify targets. They're scared to look left. If I'm going left, turn and look. If I'm going right, turn and look. Use your peripheral vision to help you see and identify. Kind of like playing a video game, and I'm better than all of you because I was ranked nationally in the world. You don't even know that about me, but more coming about that at the end of the year. Let's continue. Listen, able to judge stopping distance and adequate distance in time. We know beginning drivers don't judge distance and speed really well. Example, one of my clients was driving this morning. They stopped very late and almost rendered the car. They are not learning how to judge distance, but I've given examples. I've shown them examples. But until you drive 5, 10, 15 times, you don't understand. Many of you are not listening right now because you think you know what's going on, but you think you can drive, but you can't. You need to listen to this. Next, check mirrors regularly. Beginning drivers do not check their mirrors regularly. You're barely learning to keep the car straight in the lane. You need to check your center mirror. You need to check your left mirror. You need to check your right mirror. I'm doing a mirror check. I check to the left. I check to the right. I check my center mirror. Learn these things to help you pass your driving test. Next, let's continue. Do you use a balanced hand approach? Is it 8 and 4? Is it 9 and 3? Hand position on the wheel. And many of you are saying, oh my God, they're still teaching the outdated method. It's a standard by the state or country that you are in. This is why I like giving you information from the National Highway Safety Transportation, because you get factual information. I'm not telling you random information, but you're not listening to me because you think you know how to drive. Next, backing up straight, backing up, and turning skills. You need to be able to learn how to back up and drive and back up into a driveway. You do this by turning hand over hand. If you're turning the wheel to the left, the rear will go to the left, the front will swing out to the right. If you're turning to the right, the rear of the car will go to right, the front will swing out to the left. You need to practice these slow speed maneuvers because you will have a maneuverability test. Next, let's talk about mirror searches, looking over your shoulder. You have to look over your shoulder. Learning targets for success. We're talking about new drivers. I'm your instructor. Testing is in session. I want to welcome you in. Let's continue to work and talk about the road test. Are you using proper hand over hand when backing? Many of you are not. You're just palming the wheel. We do not turn like that. You're going to turn too sharp or too short, and you're going to end up going over, hitting a mailbox, or hitting your neighbor's car. Do you do push-pull? Some of you do, some of you don't. These are different steering methods for different driving situations. Next, turnabouts. We've seen content on turnabouts. You, as a beginning driver, need to understand about turnabouts. Do you understand what a turnabout is? You yield to traffic in the turnabout. You look, you check. Once you've yielded and cars in the turnabout leave, then you have a right to go in. If you stop, you lose your competitive advantage. Then what happens is you've lost your turn. Then you hesitate. If I was testing you and you panicked, we would lose a point, but I would continue because I want all of you to be successful. Let's continue. We talked about next, checking the flow of traffic. If you have to pull out into a major thoroughfare and they're driving 50, you should be driving at 50, 50. If you're driving at 40, you're going to lose points. I will mark you down. A lot of beginners do just that. They drive 10 under, 12 under, 15 under. Now we're holding up the flow of the traffic. People are upset at you. And now as a result, you lose points. You thought you passed, but then you go back to the testing center and you're crying. And your instructor will tell you why. Well, you had 5 minors in the turns. You had 3 minors in roundabouts. You made an incorrect turn in the wrong lane. That's what failed you. You're like, okay, I'll take it again. Road tests, whether here in the United States or in the UK, are difficult, expensive. You need to be watching my content because it crosses over from the United States into the UK. It crosses over from the United States to the UK to the Middle East because I'm teaching you fundamentals that will apply and help you become a good driver. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up because I'm going over the test right now to help prepare you. Next, do you verbalize and understand gaps? Gaps are a space in traffic. Beginning drivers don't judge distance very well. So as a result, you're going to pull out in front of a car, a bus. And if you do that with your route tester, fail. F-A-I-L, because it's a dangerous maneuver. In my content, you see me coaching up beginning drivers. You see me narrating when I have the GoPro on, or the camera in the car, or the phone mounted system, or the dash cam. I give you real life situations where people are walking in front of us. That older man, he thinks, oh, I'm an old man, I can just walk in front. Grandpa, you just got hit because you think you do not have to follow the rules. People riding bicycles, you have a responsibility too. You need to ride with the flow of the traffic. Bikers, going across intersections. If you're going from right to left, you need to look at traffic to your left because cars do not shoulder check. And look, and it's called a right hook, where a car will strike you because the motorist is not looking. Bicyclists and motorists, you have another responsibility too. What is this? You have to yield and check for traffic. If you're making a left, I should see you looking from your left all the way across to your right. I'm modeling this again. If you're making a left turn, I need to see you looking from the left all the way through from oncoming traffic. If you turn and don't look, it's called the left cross, where you hit a bicyclist because you did not look. Bicyclists, you have a personal responsibility too. You need to wear a helmet. You need to have a red flashing light on the back of your bicycle and a white light on the front. It's really important because bicyclists travel up to 30 miles an hour. Pedestrians, you have a responsibility too. If there's no sidewalk, you need to walk against traffic so they can see you. You never want to turn your back. I'm telling you a story now. Last summer, one of my clients coming back from the drive, young man, his mom, the day before, she was fine, no injuries. She is a pro bike rider. She has a carbon fiber bike that costs over $4,000, custom lightweight rims. She is a competitive racer. I saw her. She had a broken collarbone. She had 3 teeth knocked out. Her chin was all scraped up. And she had road rash right here. I said, what happened to you? Well, I was riding my bike, doing about 35. A woman opened the door. It's called dooring. This is when a motorist doesn't look, doesn't use the Dutch reach. I'm doing the Dutch reach when you use your right hand and go over your left shoulder because it forces you to look. The lady opened the door on my client's bike. She flipped over and was traveling 30 miles an hour. I'm telling you this because it is very serious out here. What is our learning target for success? Information for beginning drivers, or if you have experience, you need to touch up on this. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you in. This is where I'm giving you real life situations of one of my clients His mother got hit by a passenger, by a driver opening the door on her. She was going about 30 miles an hour, custom carbon fiber bike, lightweight components. She flipped and broke 3 teeth, split her chin, broken collarbone, and road rash. We need to do bicyclists a favor and look out for them more. Next, you need to check traffic and signals. A lot of you don't do that because you are nervous. You're scared. It's okay. Take your time. Don't take your test until you're ready. You need to be looking at my content. You need to be asking questions, and I do reply. You need to be subscribing. You need to be following. You need to do all those things to help you become successful, because this is what we're teaching: how to be successful, how to be independent. Next, do you verbalize and accelerate for the gap or maneuver? It's timing, and beginning drivers don't judge time and space very well. Do you complete the correct turn in the correct lane? If you're making a right turn, you should be the closest lane to the curb. That's the first lane. But what if I'm in a multiple right turn lane? If you start in the middle lane, finish in the middle lane. If you start in the right lane by the curb, finish in the right lane by the curb. If you start in the third lane from the curb, finish in your third lane from the curb. You need to practice this because you are preparing, whether you're 16, 26, 36, 46, you're preparing to take your test. And oh yeah, I do know how to drive a manual. I do know how to power shift. I do know how to do motorsports activities. What is our learning target for success? Beginning drivers. We are trying to get you to be your best authentic self. Testing is in progress. I want to welcome you in. What part of the world are you from? Let's go to, I'm from the Midwest, from the United States of America. Next, let's talk about the next part of the road test: controlled and uncontrolled intersections. Intersections are the most dangerous place, but beginning drivers and experienced drivers are very casual. I don't need my blinker. I'm going to turn wide. If you turn wide and don't need your blinker, you're going to cut off a car. You're going to have confusion, and an accident will happen. You need to look for open spaces to the left, in front, and to the right, because we always want to be a defensive driver. You need to obey the traffic signs and signals. If you're going too fast at a roundabout, you will slam into the roundabout. That will be an accident. That will be failure. If you're not yielding to traffic going into the roundabout, you will hit traffic in the roundabout. That is failure. I'm sorry I'm talking about failure so much, but you need me to tell the truth, don't you? You should be saying, yes, please keep talking. Please tell the truth. I will tell you the truth. Why? I want you to be successful. Next, let's talk about this. Enters the curve at the proper position. If you go to the outside of the curve, you're going to lose control, go over the yellow line, and you're going to crash. If you go into the curve too slow, you're going to lose momentum and literally pause in the curve. Centrifugal force will pull you out. Gradually increases speed at the apex of the curve. Toward the top of the curve, you need to gradually increase. Do you maintain proper lane positioning? Beginner drivers struggle at this because you have a difficult time judging speed and space. Whether you're in your manual or not, you should be in fourth gear, third gear, fifth gear. You don't want to be in the wrong gear because you're going to rev up the RPMs of the motor and you could redline it and damage the car. In the United States, 85 to 90% of our vehicles are automatics. It doesn't mean all Americans do not need to know how to drive a manual, but we do. So don't be misled when you see driving in the UK, driving in India. We know how to drive manuals. So focus on what your native country has. Let's continue. Turn head to check blind spots. You do have blind spots. I want to comment on this. I had a person message me, I have my mirrors adjusted properly. You don't need to look over your shoulder. You're saying improper techniques. We're here in the United States, and if I'm driving United States citizens, there's a blind spot. I just looked over my left. There's a blind spot to the right. I just looked over to my right. You have to, please listen, you have to check your blind spots. So that comment was incorrect. I will be messaging them later. And beginning drivers do merge slow on the expressway because you're not used to getting up to speed really fast. I've talked about this. I've showed you this. When you're on that ramp, push the gas pedal to the floor, accelerate to 55 or 60. That's enough to get us out to the first lane. Then you're going to adjust your speed, your lane positioning, coming out under 45. We will fail our test because you will have to abandon your merge. What is our learning target for success? I'm a state certified driving instructor. We're talking about beginning drivers, new driver advice. I want to welcome you in. Testing is in progress. We are learning. Put in your questions. I'm talking about the road test. I'm giving you real life situations. Next, do you properly maintain speed and position? A lot of beginning drivers do not. They'll go 10 over, 12 over, then they'll go down 10 to 12 under. It's called speed control, and it takes time. Some instructors just sit in the car, go here, do a turn. If you really want to learn, you need to be watching my content. You need to be asking questions because you will learn. And if you find it of value, you will end up subscribing because I'm putting out a lot of lives and a lot of content to take you through the journey. I not only talk about it, I show it to you. I answer your questions. Next, let's continue talking about this information to help us. This is bringing you a value and you're learning something. Give it a thumbs up. Parking. You need to know how to perpendicular park. You need to know how to parallel park. You need to know how to stop at the curb line. You need to know how to properly signal. You need to know how to safely exit from a parking spot. If any of these things sound foreign, you're not prepared to take your test. But don't fear. Driving with Myles is here. I'm a state certified driving instructor. What is the learning target for success? We are talking about how to pass your test. I want to welcome you in. If you haven't been in, testing is in session. You're getting a virtual class right now. Tell me where you're from in the world. Next, you need to, this is on the highway, if available. A lot of people say, hey, I didn't go on the highway, I passed my road test. Well, the highway was probably not available. Maybe it was the time of day. Your instructor, your tester should be taking you on the highway. You need to make note, I'm going over real information. You need to know how to effectively accelerate up to the proper speed. Beginning drivers don't. You need to know how to identify a proper gap. There's a semi truck coming, there's a car in front of the semi, there's a gap. You need to get in between the car and the semi. If you hesitate, then you will be marked down. Beginning drivers don't know what to do, but I teach you, I tell you, I show you. That is real value. Let's continue. Next on the expressway, do you maintain proper speed and following intervals? A lot of you don't because you merge on about 65, then you drop down to 55. Incorrect. You would get a major because if you're behind a semi truck, the semi truck is trying to look, and they almost rear-ended us. That has happened to us many times. Next, do you slow down in the deacceleration lane? Not on the expressway. Beginning drivers make that mistake. They slow down too early or they slow down too late. Now we're on the deacceleration lane going too fast. And if we're going to the left, you see chevron alignment signs on the right. If you don't know what a chevron alignment sign is, you need to be looking back at some of my content. Beginning drivers are inconsistent with their speed control. Another comment, why do you educate them so much? Because we are beginners. They do not know what to do. This is not a channel where someone already has experience. This is not a mock road test. These are real learners going out here learning how to drive. I am supporting you. I want you to be successful, and it takes work. I really want you to do well. As a beginner, You're not consistent with your speed. You might go too slow on a ramp. You might go too slow. You might not use your mirrors. You might not check your blind spot, all of which are dangerous things because when you're going on Expressway and you're not in a driver's ed car, people assume that you know what to do. And a lot of beginners do not. You need to pick your point and accelerate. My videos will help you, but if your mom, your dad, your loved one, your guardian is not taking you out, then you're not really learning and experiencing how to properly merge. Merging takes practice. And if you don't practice, you will have failure. Let's continue. Next, are you preparing to stop or maneuver with the flow of the traffic? A lot of beginners go really slow. What do you mean slow? If it's 70, they're going at 60. If it's 70, they're going at 55. Now you're starting to understand by me explaining this to you, you're saying, oh my God, I'm going too slow. I need to speed up. But then it's too late because a semi truck is behind you. A soccer mom is behind you. A businessman is behind you. An entrepreneur is behind you, and they're trying to get to work. I need all of you not to have fear when you're driving, but seek support. I can be your support, but you need to subscribe. You need to look at my content, and you need to ask questions. Let's continue. Safe driving behavior. Do you automatically put your seatbelt on? That's a habit. If you don't, you're going to be marked down. Number 2, do you maintain proper speed at all times? Beginning drivers don't do that because they don't have the experience. Next, do you maintain a safe following distance? The minimum is a 3-second gap. You pass a stationary object, 1 policeman, 2 policemen, 3 policemen. You're now at a 3-second following distance. Do you identify and understand and respond to appropriate traffic signs and signals? This is a little bit more higher up in the driver's ed toolbox. What is our learning target for success? Class is in session. Testing is in session. I want to welcome you in. If you just joined in, we're talking about the elements of the road test to prepare you for driving. Let's go ahead and continue. Are you identifying and understanding proper mirror usage? There are blind spots. There's one to the left, there's one to the right, there's one in front of the car, there's one behind the car. One person messaged me, you're giving them the wrong technique. You don't need to check your blind spots. Failure. You adjust your center mirror, your left mirror, your right mirror. If you're making a lane change to the left, mirror, turn signal, blind spot. Look over your shoulder. There's a blind spot between your back door and in between your front door. You have to look over your shoulder. If you don't, you will be marked down and you could crash. I don't want you to crash. So the information was wrong. Next, do you understand the vehicle's capabilities? Are you driving a larger SUV? Are you driving a smaller grandma or grandpa car? Sorry, grandma. Sorry, grandpa. But smaller cars do not have the speed and maneuverability to get up and merge on the expressway. Thank you. One person said a very positive comment. Do you know how to effectively minimize risk? What is risk? You're running a yellow light. What is risk? You're not checking vision in front of you. What is risk? You're in downtown Metro Detroit. You're in downtown Houston, Texas. You're in downtown Los Angeles, California. I need all of you to be successful. Do you demonstrate the ability to select a gap and avoid hesitation? A lot of you are saying yes, but you're not listening to me because you think you know how to pull out in traffic, but it takes you 3 minutes. It takes you 4 minutes. I won't be here holding your hand forever, nor will your mom, nor will your dad. You need to build your confidence now. Next, do you yield to pedestrians? Pedestrians always have the right of way. I need all of you to subscribe. I need all of you to give us a thumbs up. I am your instructor. Testing is in progress. What is our learning target for success? You had your virtual class today. Bye.